All right, as per usual, my computer will do Murphy's Law on me, but that's okay. So let me start from the beginning. You are making it. Oh, by the way, I loved Mr. Samuel's presentation, and a lot of what he said, I would say ditto to. And we are going to be exploring that. You are making the decision that you want to go into business for yourself, or you're going to be talking through and helping somebody to explore business opportunities. But before you go there, how do you know? And that is a really important question to ask. How do you know that you can go into business for yourself? Is it that you can just say, okay, I want to do it? What must you know? So you notice that on this slide, I have several things that might come into your mind in determining whether you want to go into business for yourself or not. The first thing is you must have a strong desire. Your desire must be as strong as that dog on the other side. You must have a yearning, a desire, because the desire is going to be the key to your success. You have to be prepared to walk outside of your peer groups. You have the friend who going to say, no, man, don't bother that too difficult. No, you have to be prepared to be the lone voice that says, I need to do this. I want to do this. Now, the things that don't work, you can't get a job. I heard somebody talking about it. Suppose you have difficulty getting a job in your own field. You make the job. Or are you going to try a thing? Maybe, but I don't know that I like that very much. Not Nagwan. Those words I stay very far away from. Why? Because those words would make you look like this guy. And that is that you ain't going nowhere. Now, even if you have a strong desire and yearning, does that mean that you will actually succeed? Maybe not. But let me tell you the story of a acquaintance of mine. Let's call him Sheldon. So Sheldon came from a very poor background. Sheldon always had the dream and the goal that he was going to have a business, and he explored the opportunities. He had an idea of the business he wanted to go into. In his community, there was no game store. There was a time back where we could go rent time on a game if you didn't have it. And he thought that would be a good idea in his community. Ultimately, that's not the business he went into. He went into food, cooking, doing chicken legs. He got the equipment, he bought the freezer, he had the location, he had the cook and the chickens and everything. But when the challenges came, that strength, that drive that Mr. Samuels was talking about, guess what? He didn't have that. And his business ultimately failed, did not succeed. It ultimately failed because what my friend wanted was somebody to make it easy for him. And anybody who's been in business for themselves will know that there is no such thing as making it easy. You have to have the drive, as Mr. Samuels was talking about earlier. So if you're the smartest bulb in the ceiling, that's no guarantee. You may have a lot of money, that's no guarantee. If you are the most beautiful person in the room, no guarantee. And it's definitely not, I want money because I want the latest this and no, none of those things work. So what is it? It is your persistence. In the picture of the man pushing the stone up the incline. That is what you need. Persistence and ambition that blocks out everything else. I put blind admission there, ambition, but I don't want you to leave out the important things to you. But you have to have a focus that gives you the stick to itiveness to stick through the very hard times that are going to come. That's my motivation. My wife and my two sons. Everything that I do is about is about making sure that my family is taken care of. Nothing else matters. So when you say that, when you hear that I cook, what will happen is that I am the one who will say, this is what we're having for dinner, and I'm going to go in the fridge and whip it out. Because that is one way that I look after my family. Now, aside from the drive, I must have juice. I must have something in the tank. I must have something that says that I know that I can do it. Now, how do I know that I can do this? Now, this is where I get into a place that is very personal, but you have to find that for yourself. What gives you the drive? What is the juice in your tank that is going to help you to make the decision that you can do this and you know you can do this? Not just the motivation to do it, like I have my family, but what is the juice? That's my juice. So this long-legged knock-kneed guy is me when I was very young, and that is my mom. And on the other side is my father with me on his knee. No, both of them were together. I just happened to have them in separate pictures. They had their own businesses. And I worked with my mom for many years. So I knew that I could do it. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but I knew that I was going to do it. Here they are today, so you get a better picture that they're still around. Those two people help to give me the juice in my tank to know that I could do that. What is the juice in your tank? What is going to provide you that knowledge that you know you can do it? It can be your faith, it can be your belief in God, but something is in the tank that gives you my juice. So here are the attributes that I've set down for you. What are the attributes that you need? And are those attributes specific to being an entrepreneur and working for yourself? Or are those attributes something that would work for you, whether you work for somebody else or not? And what you're seeing there on the slide is that, and Mr. Samuel spoke to it as well, the attributes that you need for you to be successful, whether you are in an organization, which is called an intrapreneur, or you're working for yourself, which is an entrepreneur, those are the same. You remember Mr. Samuels was saying to you that you need to be the best that you can be? Guess what? That happens whether you are in the organization, and he talked about being in Bank of Jamaica, or like me, you work on your own. The leadership, the motivation, the drive, not only for yourself, but to provide that for those who you work with, whether they report to you or you report to them. That is the same no matter whether you are in the organization, which is an entrepreneur, or you are outside on your own, which is an entrepreneur. So here it is. I'm giving you, looking at the slide and saying, okay, is there a difference between the person in the organization and the person outside of the organization? And the answer is no. It's just where you practice it. Do I have to be one or the other? No, the attributes are exactly the same. So I worked within Sagicor for 10 years. And everything that I use now and everything that I did, I used then. So whenever I was working on a project, and there were many, I emphasized the benefits to the business. So for example, in one area that I worked with, Sagicor, a lot of the sales agents, that is the guys who sell life insurance, have laptops. And the laptops were insured by an external entity, which set rules that if agent lost their laptop, it was stolen or something, this entity could deny the claim. And I was saying, but we can insure it ourselves. Why? Because we're a big enough, Sagicor is a big enough organization, set up a pool of money, have somebody to manage the pool to make sure the funds are invested properly. And that pool now becomes where our premiums are placed. And if laptops are lost in the year, the replacement value can come from that because the replacement values would be smaller than the income, the money that is put in for premiums. That's a simple idea. I said, well, why didn't somebody else think about it? But I didn't leave it at that. So the fact that nobody else said it, okay, that's fine, but let me say it. So I emphasized the benefits to the organization. You create buzz in the company. You don't see me because I'm sitting down, so you only see the top part, but I'm 6'4". So creating buzz wasn't so hard to do. And I'm not a shy person. But you're always at a place where you're providing value and you are putting your input and you are looking at the structures that are in place. And if there is a problem, you say it and provide a solution. And sometimes it may mean that I fail. But guess what? Failure is a part of success. Why? Because when I fail, I know the path not to go, and then I will go a different path. Is it easy? No. It is the hardest thing you will ever have to do. But guess what? At the end of the day, right now, as I sit down and talk to you, I can tell you I'm totally satisfied. Not rich yet. I can't buy well, I'm a Discovery person, a Land Rover person. I can't buy the Land Rover Discovery yet. But guess what? The Land Rover Discovery is not the objective. I will one day. I don't doubt it. Not today. But I am totally fulfilled. Why? Because I'm using all my creativity juices in a way that is comfortable for me. Now, I had a friend from church, an attorney, brilliant fellow, and he left the law firm that he was part of and he was trying to set up business, a storefront for himself. And he was petrified out of his skull. And what it meant was that he would worry so much that he couldn't go out there and do the work. So he had to go work for somebody else. He couldn't do it for himself. But my niece, who is an attorney, is working for herself and she's having the time of her life and she's making a lot of money at it too. But her personality, her drive, her her desire to use the energies for her benefit and for the business that she wants to create keeps her going. So, how has it worked for me? And in giving you this story, all I'm saying to you guys is this. You have to be very, very, very honest with yourself and very, very aware of what works for you and what doesn't. You know, there are people who don't face themselves, right? That can be you. You have to be able to look at yourself and honestly determine for yourself, can I do this? Can I work for myself? And even if you are advising somebody, the thing you must advise them is be honest with yourself. If you do not think, or you have fear, or as you start down the road, you see that this is not working for you, stop. Do not continue down this road because ultimately, if you're doing it for the wrong reason, it destroys what is good, what you bring. Look at Butch Stewart. Butch Stewart was a billionaire. I mean, when he died, I don't know if you guys saw this coffee table book that Observer printed that had his baby pictures right back to just before he died. But what it said about Butch Stewart is this: the man grew up on the beach in Ocho Rios before it built up like how it built up now. He wasn't rich, but he had this drive. Okay, maybe he had the right color too. That's debatable. But he had the drive. He bought a fishing boat. He bought this. He bought that. He then went abroad to have air conditioning company invest in him to sell their air conditioners in Jamaica. And the first thing they said is no, because you're too small. But he pursued it. And ultimately, he got Carrier air conditioner. And that helped and provided the foundation for what we know as ATL and rebounded it into the hotels and all the other things. But it started with a drive. He contributed to the life of this country. So it wasn't just about the money. It was about his drive that I can do this. And then he contributed. Notice he got very rich along the way. But rich wealth was not the reason why he was doing it. So how does it work for me? When I left admin staff of Sagicor, I had determined that I wanted to be a consultant. I wanted to work across the Caribbean. So I went and talked to an expert. Notice the air quotations. And the expert, somebody who I'd worked with before and I thought was a good guy. When he finished describing me and telling me that there's no way on the God's green earth I'm going to be successful because while I'm a nice guy, I am not so and so and so, who was clearly successful. So I left the meeting. I wasn't a happy camper, but I wasn't going to let that person stop me. So I started reaching out. I started making, because what I do is train, eh? So I went out there, feelers, talking to people, talking to people who I've worked with before. When, oh, part of it I didn't tell you. I had my family, my mother's business that I worked with her was a computer school. We had a computer school called the Institute of Computer Technology. It existed for 15 years, and we taught everybody. So that is how I knew I could do it because I had the knowledge. As Mr. Samuel said, you keep on learning. Your knowledge must improve. Every class that I do is never the same. This seminar that we're doing now online, I've done it before face to face, and it's a different experience. Certainly, when I'm standing up in front of you in a lecture theatre and I can dance and prance and do my thing, it's a different feel than sitting down in a chair talking to a camera and not being able to see you. So you bring different things to the plate. So this man says, no, you can't do it. You are not the right or whatever it is. You're not bright enough. You're not whatever. He could say whatever. I trained a lot of people, and there are attributes that are necessary when you're training. And I brought those attributes to the plate. So the people I trained felt me. So just like how I showed you pictures of my parents and the rest of it, I put me in it. And that's one important part of training, that your students need to feel who you are because they have to relate to you in order to learn from you. Think about it. Think of your teachers who you really relate to, and you feel them, and that's why. So I am doing my thing, and I'm part of the Customer Service Association of Jamaica because that is an important thing to me as well. I get a notice through the Customer Service Association, Chris, so and so and so is looking for you. This person is looking for you. Here's their email address. Okay. Okay. So I called them up. Chris, we were looking for you. Sorry, we have training that needs to be done, and I couldn't find you, and we did a search, and we found you through this place. I can tell you who the organization is. It's one of my well, I won't, but it's a Caribbean-wide organization. The Jamaican arm was looking for me to do training in Microsoft Office Excel. That's one of the things that I do. I ultimately started face to face. And about 3 years ago, 2017, 4 years ago, we went online. And it was so well received that between then and now, I have been teaching, coaching, training people across the Caribbean. If I go into most Caribbean countries now, I'll find somebody who knows me. When I went into one of the organizations here, I was talking, doing some business, and I handed my ID. And the person says, "You're Christopher Givens? You're Christopher Givens?" And she turned to the person beside her. "See Christopher Givens there?" Because of my work online with them, they knew who Christopher Givens was. And not only that, they were appreciative of the work that I did with them. They were happy. So I ended up doing the thing that this person said I could not do. I worked across the Caribbean as a consultant. I work with corporate clients here. Another organization I went into, they told me, "Well, we've done the training thing. This is before COVID, of course. We've done the training thing, but um, it hasn't been successful." You see, when I finished the training, "Wow, Chris, how did you do that?" Again, let me say it clearly. For any business you choose or any opportunity you choose to take up, you are going to have the attributes that are necessary for that opportunity to work. My brother, one brother, has a business in Mandeville. He's trained as an engineer. So the business that he's in is manufacturing. It does requires engineering skills. But there are another set of skills that helped his business because he's an engineer. So the kind of logical thinking and to be able to structure and to build in a particular way. He had those skills necessary so that his organization could work. The other brother is a pilot. He's in Middle East. He's now a captain. Again, he had to exercise the entrepreneurship. He had to be able to take control. He's not just an ordinary pilot, because if he was an ordinary pilot, he would not be a captain. But he's a captain now, a black man, a captain in a white country where he's a foreigner, or Arab country where he's a foreigner. Why? Because he brought that entrepreneur, same as the entrepreneur, but the skills of leadership, motivation, drive in order for him to achieve his goal. For me, once I train you, that's it. It happens every time. It happens so much so I don't question it anymore. Once I train you, that is it. You're coming back. Chris, I want you. Working with a lady in New York. She's saying, "Chris, you need to market yourself in the States. I don't know how you're going to do it. You need to market it." No, I wasn't thinking that. I never went anywhere near it. But guess what? I need to know now what's next. So I have the consultancy, which I'm building out. And I have to innovate and I have to create new. That's the only way the business can grow. So I am actually looking at the possibility of branching off into the States. But there, what you do exists a dime a dozen. Why? What would you bring? So I have to sit down and reframe who I am and how I offer the product that I do for that environment. But that don't mean that I leave out Jamaica and the Caribbean. Jamaica and the Caribbean I'm already working in. So it is to build that by doing the consultancy, build that by innovation, by offering new products in a different way. I'm already doing it because as you do the thing longer and longer, I'm a few years older than some of you, you may notice. The longer you do something is the easier it is to innovate because you know the ins and outs of it. So, Mr. Samuels, he was saying it to you. He brought something to the job that he was doing so he could innovate. The same thing will happen to you, whether you are in a business that is owned by somebody else or you have your own. And then there's the creation. So, coming back to the topic, exploring business opportunities. In order for you to be able to explore the opportunities, you have to be very aware of self, and you have to be very, very clear. Am I prepared to go through the agony of my creating my own business? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are times when you are building your own business when you do not have one red cent. Of course, we don't use red money anymore. Silver cent, any cent in your pocket. And this is where the creative juices have to come now to find a way to succeed, because there is a time when you have no money. It happens. So you have to build and create the structure to make sure that you go through these lean times. When it happened to you one time, you make darn sure that it don't happen. Sorry, doesn't happen to you again. So you innovate. You must have your standards of both morality and business etiquette. You have to have your standards. Do I do it alone? Hell no. My wife is an integral part of my business. Why? Because when I'm successful, I want to have her by my side when we're on the North Coast enjoying the benefits of having a successful business. I don't want to be alone. And I'm way too old for a 20-year-old. So I have set my standards. The standards of both morality and business etiquette carry me forward in my business, because the people who have to deal with me know what to expect. So, know thyself. As my teacher always said, to thine own self be true. Once you are true, once you recognize what you are and who you are, then you look around for the areas where you have natural ability. One of my sons is a communicator. He doesn't sing, and when he sings, we ask him to kindly shut up. The other son is a musician and sings. So the one who is a musician, he wants to work. Still at UA, but he wants to work. And he's going to go work in a call center. What? Why are you going to work in a call center? That's not your natural gift. The people will drive you bananas. Use your music. So guess what he is going to do, because his father is going to encourage him down that road. He is going to design. He's going to use his music ability to create beats. He's already doing a little bit of it. That's his natural ability. So I can help him down that road. The other one, who's a communicator, he is going to set up his own consultancy where he does motivation. Sort of a little bit of what I do, but I train and I do the motivation as part of it. Now, does the older one want his own business? Not really. He wants to work with other people because he knows he doesn't want to do this by himself. The smaller one, he's going to have his own business. And that's because of his personality and drive. Look at yourself. If you decide to go that route, these are the things you have to look for. So I'm now open to any questions you may have. Feel free to ask anything you like. I am more than willing to answer you.
Mr. Gibbons,
Yes,
Mr. Perry, the first vice president, I have a question for you.
sure. Please go ahead.
Good evening, accounting seminar. Good evening, Mr. Gibbons.
Yes, sir.
Yes, wonderful presentation, sir. I enjoyed every second of it.
I'm pleased. Thank you.
Yes, sir. For the purpose of this accounting body, not just myself,
Sure.
Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And the
That's
good
right.
and the good scripture says, "As a man thinketh, so is he."
That's right.
So many people have their own definition on the route or way to success. So and you as a professional and with years of experience,
Yes.
would you say to this accounting body then that personal development is is one of the actual key for success, and in a continuous, not just a destination. So continuous personal development. So it is not necessarily just a destination, like you reach here at a point and that's it, but it's a continuous uh, goal. You continue to develop yourself personally.
Can I say that personal development is actually, and I'm going to be a little bit controversial,
Okay.
personal development is a byproduct of doing business well. Meaning, if you are going to provide what your client needs, whether you are internal to an organization as an employee or you're working for yourself, in order to provide what your client needs, you are going to be continually learning because your clients will bring very unique, very challenging um, situations and examples to you. And in many instances, you won't have the answers at your fingertip. You always have to be looking out for what's new. Remember, I said innovation and creation as part of the process of an intrapreneur or entrepreneur. So, ongoing learning for you as the person, business person, is a given. Is a given. My hair may be gray and my beard may be gray, but I am learning something new every day and becoming part of professional courses, whether the course is for my evangelism work or the courses for what I train in. Always, always I'm innovating and learning.